I'm lucky if some people can remember my first name. It's just,
And I've seen what you do in it.
that's it. That's it. It's Turkish, so not everybody can pronounce it, and those that can't pronounce it can't remember it. And yeah, so
Well, you're indelible in my memory. Yeah, that's okay.
perfect. That's the
So
name.
how about we ask what do you like to talk about? What do you think people don't know enough about
Well,
in the world of hypnosis?
in the world of hypnosis, well, obviously, probably street hypnosis is the thing I'm well known for, and I like to talk
Mm.
about. Um, and I
Do
like
you
to talk
use
about.
that? Do you
Sorry.
use that as an entertainment for people? Do you use it for? Do people pay you to do it, or do you use it just to gain awareness in the area?
I'd say all of the above.
Okay, you're
Uh,
happy
uh,
people pay
w- I say no, 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 but but I'll take it. Um, the thing is, that's how I got started into this crazy
you.
business called hypnosis. I always say the phrase, I had no intentions of helping people. Isn't that a terrible thing to say? In a therapeutic, professional way, so I would say. Like most people, maybe even people listening in tonight or today, this afternoon, whatever. Um, I used to watch on TV and say, "Oh, they're just playing along. It's this is not real stuff."
Mhm.
And yeah, and I have four kids, and way back 10, 15 years ago, 16 really, 16 years ago. They were a lot younger, and I used to do what I call silly dad magic. I would, produce a coin from behind their ear, that sort of stuff. Nothing I'd probably do to an adult or in front of an adult. It was just
Mhm.
to sort of play with the kids. And when I saw something on TV, it was actually Darren Brown. And he when he's talking about he says showmanship, misdirection, psychology, and magic. He doesn't even mention hypnosis in that list of. I think there's one more item he mentions, but none of them are hypnosis. So I thought, oh, that's a magic trick, and I do a little bit of magic for the kids. I'll do that
Mhm.
with the kids. And when I looked into it, I realized it was hypnosis and not magic. So I got interested in hypnosis that
Can
way.
I, just for 1 second, had you been introduced to hypnosis before that?
Just like
Just
most people watching
general
TV
information.
and Scooby
Yeah,
Doo and
yeah,
people getting hypnotized,
yeah.
the
My
usual
my
Hollywood
first
stuff.
my first experience was olive oil being hypnotized through a window and floating down to the
That's it.
sea, and that was like when I was 4. That's a long time
There you
ago.
go. There you go. 20 years ago, eh? It's a long time. But yeah, so I went on a training course just to learn inductions. And then I thought, right, I need to practice this. And I always say this phrase, if you're learning to juggle, you can go into the kitchen when nobody's about, pick up three apples and practice. And if you drop an apple and bruise it, you just put it back in the fruit bowl. Don't say it to anybody. But you can't. You need people to hypnotize.
Mhm.
So I went out in the streets of Belfast. That's where I live, Northern Ireland, and the city's Belfast, biggest city's Belfast. So I went down onto the streets of Belfast and just stopped people, and for free at the start just said, "Here, would you like to see some entertainment? I'm doing some hypnosis today." And stuck their feet to the floor and entertainment stuff. And then people would come up to me and say, "Oh, can you do that at a birthday party I'm holding next week? I'll pay you
That's
for it."
nice.
You
Hmm.
know. And then councils used to say, "Oh, there's a community fair coming up, and I'll pay you," and
Hmm.
things like that. So again, just to answer your question, start out for free, just as a curiosity, no intentions of earning money. I had a good professional job, and I was just doing this as a side
Yeah, it
hobby.
was a hobby. Yeah.
And then from there, again, one of the skits I would do would be make somebody forget their name
Hmm.
and name amnesia. And somebody came up to me after I'd done one of those and says, "Here, you made him forget his name. Can you make me forget I smoke?" And I thought, and at that stage, I'd not done any of the more therapeutic trainings. I was just interested in understanding how this stuff works. And I did it just for giggles to see if it worked, and he stopped smoking. And I've still
Oh.
seen him from that time to time. I probably haven't seen him over a year now, but I've seen him from time to time and still not smoking.
Excellent.
Oh,
So does
that's
that answer the
fantastic.
question? Long, long,
Yes, it
long
does.
answer.
It does answer the question now. But now you have a therapeutic practice as well, and you've
Indeed,
become
since
a full-time
2016.
hypnotist. Yes,
2016. I was
right.
actually looking last night. It was closer to the middle to the end of 2016. So I
Okay.
don't know whether I announce 10
Okay.
years any day now or wait till close to the end of the year.
That's
But since
about the
2000,
same time. Yeah, that's about the same as me. I'm 10 years this year.
there you
Yeah.
go.
So yeah, November this year. So we could have a party
We,
together,
we could
Turan.
be twins.
You,
That's it.
you and I'll and you come to mine in 3 years. I started at the end of 2019. I finished my
There you
classes.
go. There you go.
Got my label.
That's it.
So, sir, when you decide you're going to go out and do a little straight hypnosis, just for the heck of it, how do you approach people? What do you, are there any, the concern as somebody who does a lot of medical stuff, it worries me about what things you don't know about these people.
Yeah.
Do you have somebody talk to them first, or?
No, no. So, I've done a whole class in this. I was talking at the UK Hypnosis Convention in November there, and that how to walk up to someone and because I do train other people in street hypnosis, both other hypnotherapists and lay people, how to do street hypnosis, and I sort of overlooked the idea of walking up to someone and just approaching someone and say hi. Because I thought that was obvious, but so many people struggled with just walking up. I know in the context you're asking more about the preconditions and schizophrenia and all the rest of it.
And I'm in
And
America, so liability is an issue.
indeed, indeed, but I'll be honest and say you read the room. So you know, going out and doing some street hypnosis. I don't want to stereotype anyone and say schizophrenics have a certain look, but people walking along, they're with a partner or with a group of friends, and they're out, having a good time and relaxing. If there's any doubt in any mind that maybe she's pregnant or something like that, there. If there's any doubt that they're nervous. I'll tell you what, a
Yeah.
lot of the times people will say, I've got ADHD. Does that matter? Or I've got this, or does that matter? So they'll self-announce. That's, to be honest, that's not what I knew before I went into this, but that's what I've learned over time. So it's about just not hanging around the mental institute and you're hypnotizing people on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
way in and out, that sort of thing. Going to parties, going to things, events where you can read
Big
the
enough
room.
audience. Yeah.
So it is about being just adult about it, mature about the situation and understanding what we know. Um, but no, thankfully, it's been good. It's been good.
Did did you continue to do it, and did that help you build your therapeutic practice? Did
Well,
people
that's it.
come to you
This
afterwards and say, "Does it help for XYZ?" And you say, "Well, yes. Here's my card."
so again, that's why I do love to talk about this because a lot of people, and again, as I said, I train other hypnotherapists now, do street hypnosis. A lot of hypnotherapists walk up to you, oh, I can hypnotize people to stop smoking or lose anxiety in a private therapy room till the cows come home, as the saying goes. But I wouldn't go out in the street and hypnotize someone. I've learned things from street hypnosis that I apply, whether it's just attitudes or tools or techniques that I apply in the therapy room that I know aren't taught in a standard therapeutic training school class. And that's why I do, talk a lot about street hypnosis and enjoy talking a lot about street hypnosis. You don't need to do it to make money. As I say, everything I did, even just doing the entertainment, I fell into it. Right, I need to know how to practice
It
this. I may
works.
go out to in the streets of Belfast and do it for free, and then I didn't say, here, do you want to? Have you got a birthday party come up? I'll charge you. If you I'll
Right.
charge you, and
Right.
people approached me. And even the stop smoker approached me. And then when he sent his friends, I started saying, well, I did him for free, but I'm going to have to start charging you guys. Now that I can do it, dare I
Yeah.
say, now I
Yeah.
know I can do it. You know, um, so I lost my train of thought there. I just love, I think there's great value in really understanding what hypnosis is, really understanding what a trance is, really understanding the power of it. People will come in and you know, maybe with an anxiety or IBS, and you have to wait a couple of weeks to see has that really, you know, taken in. When you're in the street, you're in the moment, and you see your feet are stuck to the floor. It either works or it doesn't. You get immediate feedback, and when you sharpen that confidence of knowing this is going to work, that echoes back to the person you're hypnotizing. You know, and so even now, even in discovery calls, somebody rings up and says, "Hi, I'm thinking of booking in. I've got anxiety," and you know, I know I can help you, and I'm coming from a place of strong confidence because I know I've done this many times, and you know, with early clients, I was already coming across with that confidence because by the time was seeing therapeutic clients, I'd hypnotized, you know, hundreds of you know, people out in the streets. You know, and
Yeah.
even just the idea of showing people, because I've got a YouTube channel, just turned 1.6 million. Um, so, you know, I'll send them, especially for kids. So how will I tell little Johnny that, you know, he's coming to see you next week? I says, show him some of the fun stuff, you know, so he doesn't see it as just this boring guy with a clipboard and serious frown saying, hello, so what's wrong
Yeah.
with you? Yeah.
I get it. I get it because I have trained in street hypnosis with Turan. Whether I'm any good or not, you know, remains to be seen really. Because I don't feel I do it with kids when the kids come into the classes, but I don't feel confident enough to go out on the streets. But that will come. But you know, the myths and misconceptions surrounding hypnosis and you know, you're not in control and you know, it's mind games and all of that we do get.
Yeah.
How do you tell them that they're in control even though their feet are stuck to the ground, even because it's you that suggested it?
Well, one of the great things about street hypnosis, and again, you know, you if you watch the videos, and I didn't used to include in the videos me walking up to someone. I just started the video from so close your eyes or whatever.
Mm.
But I now, you know, in the more later videos, play even walking up to them to show people that I don't do a lot of pre-talk. I know, and again, the industry say, "Oh, you must." And pre-talk's the most important part to settle their fears and all the rest of it. You don't have time to do that in street hypnosis. This is an entertainment setting. You don't have time to do a 20-minute, you know, muscle relaxation induction. So you
Yeah.
have to just be very quick. So I'll just walk up to someone and say, "Hey, would you like to be hypnotized?" And they'll go, "Oh, no. Okay, you're not. Right. What about you?" Now, that person might have had some fear or misconception. They've missed
Or
out.
epilepsy and didn't want to tell you. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so I hypnotized somebody else, and then that person over there says, "Oh, right, give me a go. I look cool." Right. So, in a way, the the first person is probably the hardest person of the day to hypnotize. If somebody else sees me hypnotizing somebody, that's the pre-talk. They're
Yeah.
going, "Wow, he looked in control, or he didn't look like he was doing anything that he wouldn't
And
want
he's
to
back,
do."
and he's back to normal now, so it's okay.
And exactly, you know. So I've already answered. You know, can you know? Will I get stuck in hypnosis because the previous person's out and chatting away as normal and all the rest of it? And again, some of my videos, you'll see me finishing off with one person and say, "Right, what about you?" And
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I'll do it.
Actually, can I just, something just popped into my head. Can you send us a video of you doing street hypnosis that you kind of like? That's just short clip, and we'll add it to this video.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
All
I'll,
right.
I'll send you 749 videos.
No, thank you very much.
I'll cherry pick one out and send it to you.
Thank you, dear. Okay. So look for that towards the end of this or on a separate, following immediately after this episode. If you're on the podcast alone, you'll have to go to YouTube to watch it.
That's it. That's it.
So with the difference between street hypnosis and the medical hypnosis, clinical hypnosis, whatever you want to call it, where do they meet, or are they completely separate?
Well, you see, you know, is there a meeting point? Are they completely separate, or are they identical? Is the real question.
Yeah, yeah.
For me, they're the same thing.
Okay.
For me, the same thing. You know, obviously the suggestions are different. Instead of saying your feet are stuck to the floor or you can't remember your name, I'm going to say, you know, that anxiety is disappearing, that no depression is no longer there. You know, you will not smoke that cigarette. But, you know, the hypnosis part of hypnotherapy is the exact same. And so I rarely do. I know people talk about there's some situations where a progressive muscle relaxation is beneficial to a client, but I rarely do progressive muscle relaxation. I'll do a fast induction because I'd rather, rather than spending 20 minutes in the induction and 20 minutes in the therapy, I'd rather do 3 minutes in the induction and, you know, 37 minutes
Yeah,
on the therapy side of things.
sure.
Yeah. What's your favorite? What's your favorite thing to do? I know you've
They're,
probably got loads, haven't you?
they're,
But what's
they're,
your
you know,
favorite?
they're all good. My
Mm.
favorite thing to do is entertain. My favorite thing to do is wow people and to show people how powerful their mind is. If I can stick somebody's feet to the floor and I'll stand there and say, "There's no glue, there's no cement, and yet you can't move. Try and move." And, I can't move my feet. See, but did you see any glue? No. Then try and move your feet, and they won't be able to move it. And I always end, as much as street hypnosis, even in the early days of street hypnosis, before I was even thinking about therapy, I'd say, and think about, what's sticking, in your head that is really only sticking in your head because of a thought and not because there's any glue,
Yeah.
so that wraps it up back to a therapeutic understanding, so I'm always trying to educate. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I've seen you lots of times, haven't I? And at the UK Hypnosis Conference,
Where you
convention, should
also
I say.
spoke. Yeah.
Sorry, where I also spoke. I've dropped that in twice
That's
as
it.
well. Maybe three times. I'll have to see in a couple of weeks.
The structure
Mhm.
of the suggestions that helps. That's
Yeah.
it.
Because working with children, as you know, I work with children, and I very rarely use progressive muscle relaxation technique because the kids
Maybe
they probably get
jumping up the
bored.
walls. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
That's
they
it.
get bored, so it's just very, very quick and to the point what you have to do with them.
And
But their
especially with,
imaginations are really, strong,
exactly,
aren't they?
and again, it becomes almost a pattern interrupt in itself, which is an induction style
Hmm.
to just hypnotize someone up in someone standing up in the hypnotherapy room. You
Yeah.
know, they just, I mean, they come in and they look around for like a size lounge, and I just have a chair.
Where's your pendulum?
That's it. Well,
Yeah,
I
doing
do, I
knots and
do,
everything.
you
Yeah.
know,
Mm.
when I'm working with kids, I do. Where is it? Oh, it's not in there. There you go. When I'm working with kids, I do have my,
Oh,
you know,
the pocket watch.
Oh,
pocket
spinning
Okay.
watch.
watch.
You have to,
Yeah,
accidentally leave that
Yeah.
sitting
You don't
around,
yeah.
wear a cape though, right?
you
The real
know,
old school.
but it's all good fun. That's it.
It is. It is good fun, isn't it? Whether you do it for fun or whether you do it to help people, because
Indeed.
you're still helping them. And also the street hypnosis sort of gives them a taster, like you said, of what
Yeah,
it's
What's
like.
possible?
Yeah, and also, they'll remember what you did, won't they?
that's it. And,
Hmm.
and again, if you're doing a presentation, if you're doing a talk, doing a little bit of street hypnosis is a great way to get a message across.
Yeah.
There was one time, and it's actually a video on the YouTube channel. I was doing a presentation at a town just outside Belfast called Lisburn, and I got 3 or 4 members of the audience up to the front, and I stuck their bums to the chair, made them forget their name, and then right at the end, bringing them out, I said, as a thank you for being here today, I'm just going to ask your unconscious mind to go and find something you want to change and make that change. A one-liner, bit of therapy, as it were, and and you'll take that away. And I don't know if you'll feel great, different in the moment, or it might be as you sleep tonight. 1, 2, 3, back in the room. Sent them back to their seats in the audience and carried on with the presentation. And again, during that, when I stuck their bums to the chair, again, I'm talking to the audience as I was do the street hypnosis thing. I said, "Look, there's no glue," and I would go, "Try and stand up," and they couldn't stand up. See, ladies and gentlemen, it's just in their mind. And how many of you have something in your mind that's sticking you, holding you to a chair that you don't need to? So I use these comedy your routines, but in a way that can convey a message. So I went back to the stand. I had a stand, little leaflets and wee posters and stuff, handing out brochures and things and talking to people. And the lady came up to me that had volunteered, one of the ladies. You'll see her on video because I actually say, can you turn around and say that again? Because the camera wasn't running. So I started the camera and says, can you say that again? She says, the only reason I came to this event today, I didn't know it was on, but I just needed to get out of the house. I had terrible migraines. She says, it was just killing me. I needed to get out. I needed to do something different. Noticed this was on, popped in, not planned. She says, but from the moment I sat back down into the audience, my migraines were gone. And I feel fantastic. So that's how powerful, a one-liner can be if obviously I had hypnotized her, I'd done a few skits, so her conscious mind or unconscious mind already knew how powerful their own brain was, and I was explaining that to them and to the audience. And when I said, fix whatever you want to fix, she managed to fix herself.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That's it.
One of my, I don't like to call them best clients because all my clients are special and all of their problems are important. But I had a woman come to me who had been going to a headache clinic for 10 years, was unable to go out to work. She was able to work if she sat in her chair and worked. If she could get her pain down to a 4, she could function. At that level, she couldn't make dinner, she couldn't do anything else, but she could, keep the lights on. And she gave me something else. I got permission from her doctor to see her. And I asked her when we started, because I don't say, can I see this client for X, Y, Z? I say, can I see this client, period? Because whatever they come in with that day is what we will deal with. And I said, do you want to talk about anything else? She said, well, can you do anything for the headache? Yeah. So we did. And within 15 minutes, her headache went from a 5 to a 0.2. And I said, okay, we don't mess with success. 0.2 is okay, you can live with 0.2.
Yeah.
And she was thrilled to death. I always reach out to people a few days afterwards to see how they're feeling and what stuck and what didn't. And she said, my husband says I'm laughing. Which I think is a success.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It is. It's wonderful when you can give somebody that, for just, within a few minutes. It's a wonderful experience, isn't it? And it's so euphoric for us as well. So while we're talking about, really good results and everything, what about any lows, Turan? Have you had any lows from lots? No?
I mean, it's all in the viewpoint. It's all in the mindset. I don't see anything as a low.
Okay.
I don't know if and if you guys have 100% success rate. I don't have 100% success rate, but I've got a very high success rate. And when something doesn't work, I will do my best to try and navigate around it and learn from it. So I mean, I just don't focus on those things.
No.
Couldn't even recall those things. That's it.
No, I think we learn from them, don't we? We reflect and we move on. And like we've always said all the way through our training, all the way through, when we train others, we can't fix, I don't like saying that word, but we can't fix everybody. There are some people, that.
And we're doing 10% of the work.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it brings it back to the street hypnosis of it becomes a nice sandbox to play around with, where if something doesn't work, so their feet didn't stick to the floor. So what? It's not like if you're running a hypnotherapy practice and somebody's coming in for anxiety, the pressure's on you to make sure they feel better. But so going out in the street hypnosis setting and maybe trying an induction you saw online or trying an induction you learned at a convention or conference. I've done everything. I've hypnotized with deepeners, hypnotized without deepeners, hypnotized with pre-talk, hypnotized without pre-talk, hypnotized with fractionization, hypnotized without fractionization. Street hypnosis, once again, is a great way to just play around with this stuff because it is, thanks to your other question, it is the same.
Yeah.
The hypnosis part of hypnotherapy is the same as the hypnosis part of street
Yeah.
hypnosis.
Yeah.
So if you can master that, you have a greater success rate.
Yeah. But thanks for clarifying that, because we knew that it was,
You
same,
want
but
everybody else to know.
yeah, we
That's the
wanted everybody else to know.
that
So
is the entire point of the podcast, is we just
yeah,
want hypnosis to be better understood.
yeah.
I'm not scared.
No,
People are scared of it.
can I ask you, Turan, 10 years this year, you've what's your plans for 2026 and beyond?
Oh, just to keep on doing what I'm doing and enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think if I, it's an old cliche. If you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And it's a nice saying, and I like the concept. But being a sole trader, being a self-employed,
It's
it's
nice to
tough
eat now
enough.
and again.
That's it. It's tough.
Do you- Are,
You
are
know.
any of your kids interested in becoming hypnotists? Have you trained any of your kids?
So I trained the two boys. So I got two boys, two girls. I trained the two boys, and again, you'll see them on the YouTube channel hypnotizing people. Um, if I was to do, a fair, I would bring them along to hypnotize people as well, so I can get more people entertained. So they don't do the therapeutic side of things. And I always say that, but then fall back in the idea. My son was and this is a good few years ago now, but he was at a friend's wedding, and the groom came up to, I'm really nervous, but I don't want to knock back too many whiskeys and get too drunk, for doing my speech. And Jonathan says, well, why don't you try hypnosis? And he hypnotized him, give him that little bit of edge of confidence just to ace the speech. So, even in that setting, that they're using a level of therapeutic hypnosis. It's all in the suggestion. If the worst you can do, that first stop smoker that I did, it really was the same as the name amnesia. In a minute I'm going to count to 1 to 3, and when you wake up, you will not be a smoker. 1, 2, 3, wide awake.
That's basically when people ask me, do I do medical hypnosis? Well, as you know, I was a doctor.
Yeah.
But if something is happening to you in your physical body on this planet, medicine's going to cover it.
Yeah.
There's other things we can use too, but if something is helping you live, whether absolutely or just feel better about living, it's medical.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a shame, really, isn't it, that we're usually the last port of call, rather than the other conventional
On the other hand, if people have had
therapy.
success for one thing, they will tend to give you a call if they've got something else come
Oh,
up.
definitely, definitely. They are our champions, aren't they? They will go and
Absolutely.
tell the world, won't they, if, when something goes right. Well, something goes right for them when they make those changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you see, a range of people. You'll see the people. A lot of people will come. I've tried to talk to the doctor, talk to a
Yeah.
psychiatrist, went to CBT. Nothing's worked. I might as well try this.
Yeah.
Right. And that's I love that scenario because I know it's different than the others. Everything else has been cognitive.
Yeah.
So if we can talk to the unconscious mind and get that little bit of shift, it doesn't need to be a mountain. If they just
No.
if they just get a little bit of a shift, they
Bit of
go,
relief.
wow, that's different.
Well, it starts to manifest then, doesn't it? Though you
Exactly.
get that little bit of a shift, even if it's just a one sentence that you say to them before they even come to see you. When they come to see you, I do a initial consultation, and then they'll come back. But I always give them just a little golden nugget to go home with. Because then what it does is it plants that seed, doesn't it? That seed that
That's it.
they can change.
That's it. So, but equally, yeah, these days with referrals, some people will come to you straight away,
Yeah,
and that's also nice. So, I heard, my friend Daphne went to
yeah,
see you, and oh, I want to try this before I do anything else. Great.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. It is. It's an amazing thing, isn't it? And
I love
like,
it.
yeah, like you said, I've never got up and gone to work and thought, "Oof,
That's
I
it.
don't
Did
really
you
want to be
do
there."
you ever? I mean, everything in your life has helped you to be who you are now. But do you ever wish you'd found it before you went to? I don't remember what kind of engineering you did, but
So I used to,
Whichever
used to be,
engineering school you did.
so 27 years, I was a software engineer, software manager, director of engineering. Um, of course, I mean, this
Mhm.
is so powerful. I'm glad my sons have exposed. I mean, now, again, just to come out of the question, my sons, I've taught them, they do it. The girls weren't so interested, but, you know, it was sitting around the dinner table, and one of my daughters will say, "Oh, you should have seen the hypnosis today." I was in, the shopping center, and the mother just said to the son, child, "Oh, you're always terrible," you
Yeah,
know,
there you go.
and so they know what the direct
Hmm.
suggestions in when the child's in a focused state of
Yeah.
attention, because they've just got a arm push,
Hmm.
so they all know it, but yeah, I'm so happy that they know, even if it's just slightly, they don't practice it, that they know of this stuff.
And
Um,
I assume that your daughters, when they get to the point where they wish to have children, will talk to a hypnotist for that.
that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
So it's yeah. Of course, I think everybody, this should be taught in schools. You know,
See, that's one of the reasons I'm in business. I'm technically retired, but I founded this because the American and the British medical associations both said in the 50s, about 57, I think,
that's
they
it.
both said it should be taught in medical schools,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
still isn't. And I'm now, I was 4 when they were saying it. I'm 72 now. That's enough
Yeah.
time, people.
Well, that's it. I mean, you're coming back to maybe to Les's question about your disappointments or whatever. So I worked with a senior consultant in a hospital, personally private one to one, for chronic insomnia, and I managed to get him sorted in one session, and he was amazed, couldn't believe it, and he actually said to me, you need to come into the hospital. You need to talk to my staff, my nurses. It was pediatrics ward, and things like taking the nurses 1 hour to try and get a needle into a child's arm.
Right.
And I said, no problem. And it was very ad hoc. So we just went down Tuesday at 11 o'clock, went down to see them. He walked me around, had the nurses. I said, there's opportunities here. And I'm like, I could have stole the show and said, look, send all your difficult children to me, and I'll hypnotize them and get them sorted. But I said, I'll teach you
Yeah,
simple
exactly.
techniques to do
Yeah.
it. And they said, right, let's formalize this. And of course, good old UK/Northern Ireland anyway, uh, NHS, when we
No,
tried to
can't do
formalize it,
that.
yeah, can't just
I had the
poke,
same. I
hocus
had
pocus
this
guy.
a small
Yeah.
clinic near here, and they had a patient who was schizophrenic. And I said, I can see you, but I can't see you over the machine here. I need to go and see you
Yeah,
in real life. So the office is about a mile away. So I went to the office. I met with the doctor. I met with everybody else. They closed for business for like an hour. It was lunch, I expect. And I talked to the staff about it. And the next step was, well, to get permission, to bring you on. And here we are, a year and a half later, we're still waiting.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
he,
it's
he actually
just,
came to my house because I just work from my home. He came to my house to apologize and said, look, we're going to have to put it on hold for a bit. And that was about 4 or 5 years ago. Um, and I said to him, I said, look, tell me this: if you hadn't have come to me, and if you hadn't experienced the power of the change that received, if I just walked up to the hospital and knocked on your door and said, "Can I talk to your nurses? Can I talk to your would you let me in?" And he
yeah.
quite honest, you know what the answer is.
He all
Quite
said,
honestly
no,
said, "No, I probably wouldn't have."
no.
You know, and that's beautifully honest of him. Uh, and that's the problem with and I don't mean any trying
See,
to word it in a way it's not offensive to him, but that's
right.
the issue with people and the
Yeah.
misconceptions that
But
I,
it is, sorry, Denise, it
that's
is
okay.
though, with the big, the National Health Service over in the UK, that yes, money's tight, money's very, very tight. But when I used to work for the NHS, and they bang on and on and on about being evidence-based practitioners, and we move with the times,
Do you
and
know how much evidence we've got?
that's it.
exactly, exactly. But when I was building my practice up, I worked part-time. I'd given up my full-time job. Um, I didn't work full-time. I worked part-time, and I worked doing occupational therapy on a respiratory ward. And I did a couple of months, 6 months and 9 months and 6 months part-time. And it was the same people coming round over and over again, like on a conveyor belt.
Yeah.
But they never gave them anything to help them. Yes, smoking cessation went on, gave them patches, gave them tablets, and then they started giving them vapes. But they never actually got down, to actually doing anything about it. And I remember being in a meeting once, and the matron turned around and said, "I wish we could bring you in."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, you can." And they
That's
said,
it.
"You can't because they won't pay you."
Mhm.
And
I
it
know in the
is
last
all
couple,
down to money, isn't
yeah,
it?
well, yeah, but also now I know in the last couple of years in England, I don't know about Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, I don't think it has, but in England, it was a couple of years ago, they said, right, we have a responsibility to start and offer, make people aware of, alternative medicines,
Yeah, yeah.
not just hypnosis, but
The
other
thing is,
things.
that I hate that term alternative.
Yeah,
Complementary, I can deal with, but there
Yeah.
is no alternative to health.
that's it.
Well, there is, but it's
Yeah,
very
there
short
is.
and you leave.
But also, I work a lot with children, and a lot of the children that I see, by the time I see them, not so much now. It is dwindling down again now because I'm working on my reputation really, and people know that I'm available and I'm there. But right at the start, many of the children that came to see me, their parents were at breaking point. I was
Mhm.
their last resort.
Yeah,
It
that's
shouldn't
it.
be like that.
No,
It
no,
shouldn't be
that's it.
like that at all because they should be given, these are the alternatives. It's up to you to go wherever you want, you
And
know.
when you look at the Google reviews, you look at the video testimonials, people, many times people say, I wish I'd done this sooner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
exactly. It's such a shame, really. But I know the NHS in England at the moment do acknowledge hypnosis, but it's very
But
limited. So
only for IBS. It's the only one we'll
IBS,
pay for.
when all other
Yeah, exactly. You have to go through everything else
yeah,
first.
when all
Yeah.
other avenues have been exhausted, and also the midwives do offer a very quick hypnosis for birth.
Relaxation.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
relaxation. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Without any, because it makes me think
But
about what about the
could we not get an economics person to explain how much money they would save not going through the 97 other therapies before they get to us?
and you know what? They would allow the economics person in,
Yeah,
say
they
no
probably
more.
would.
But yeah, I mean, it's the same with when I was walk around that hospital ward that day, and the nurse, I said, look, I could give you some tools and techniques. I wouldn't have to come in and sit every time you
Mm-hmm.
wanted to work with a child. I could teach you how to do it. This is well, if we were to do it, it would have to be faster than an hour because we can get it
Yeah.
done in an hour. I says, what would you do if you get the child to take the needle after 15 minutes? You know,
Kiss your feet.
that's it. Would it be that fit? Yes.
but
You know,
you give them, that you give them these outcomes, you give them what they're looking
yeah.
for,
Right.
and they still don't take it, do they?
You know, we can just do what we can do.
Yeah.
We can just keep
Do you
plodding on.
have
Yeah.
in the US? Actually, we're very close to time now. But do you have the same issue that we have here, where we're not allowed to call ourselves hypnotherapists in a lot of states because therapy belongs to psychotherapists? I don't know what they do about respiratory therapists and physical therapists and all the other therapists there are, but we can't call
Yeah.
ourselves that. So, which is why I use hypnotist as my title, but talk about
Yeah.
hypnotherapy.
No.
In the UK, we're a bit more flexible.
Mm.
That said, and coming from, half of me thinks it's just laziness because I have a T-shirt and I have a jacket that says hypnotist written in the back from my street hypnosis
Mm-hmm.
work, which I still do to today. Um, so I call myself a hypnotist, and people, if you're doing a networking meeting and you say, "So what do you do?" I says, "I'm a hypnotist." Oh, what's that? And, I help people with anxieties, fears, phobias, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, "Isn't that hypnotherapy?" Yes, well, it is, but
Because
what
I'm
I
a
love,
hypnotist, I can do the therapy.
that's it. What I love is if you go, they might have changed it, but way back when I used to do, when you type in, define therapy, it says to overcome a disorder. And I say that to people. I says, look, if you Google therapy, it says to overcome a disorder. People that come to me, they've got anxiety. They're not broke. They're not out of order and disordered. I says they just have a way of thinking. So I do like, and I first trained with James Tripp, a great hypnotist, and he uses the term hypnotic change work rather than hypnotherapy, and I like that better. I think what we're doing is changing the way people think. Hypnotic change work.
And of course, because of that, there's a lot of people, there's all sorts of people, let me teach you this new kind of therapy that I have invented, and you watch them and you think, that's a XYZ induction.
That's it.
It's so recognizable as hypnosis, but they're just trying to avoid
Keep it simple.
being
Keep it
labeled.
simple.
Yeah.
It's just hypnosis. I do hypnosis to help you think differently.
Yeah.
So that's the way I like to come across it, even though we're allowed to use there's
We
so
are.
little regulation over here, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a two-edged sword, isn't it? I would like there to be a little more, but I hate to think of the number of people that would be shut out. There are some terrific hypnotherapists who are physicians, notably a gentleman in Edinburgh that you probably can bring to mind, who unfortunately is on record as saying hypnosis should only be done by doctors. That's silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, Laurie Hammond, who was a hairdresser before she became a hypnotist, and she's a phenomenal hypnotist.
That's it. Because I don't want to spoil things, but it's easy and
Yeah,
it's
it is.
straightforward, and so many people do it all the time. You watch people on.
Well, you hypnotize your babies all the time.
That's it.
I mean,
Oh,
just this,
I mean, if I'm working with, if I'm working with kids, and I always point out to mom and dad, I says, you're a more powerful hypnotist than I could ever be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they listen intently to you and absorb everything. Sometimes make them scared. Oh, but watch what I'm saying. I said, look, just do what you do, but be aware that they are listening.
to everything.
Exactly.
Oh yes, definitely.
Sometimes I have to work with the parents rather than somebody comes. Can you work with my child? No, but I can work with you.
Well, that's what we talked about. Les does that quite often with her. She'll work with the parents first.
Yeah.
I have no qualms at all. Yeah.
I trained when I was way back in the day when I came out of medical school. I was a pediatrician. I did a pediatrics and residency and fellowship, and yet I don't see. It's not that I won't see kids. I just don't get referred kids.
Oh, kids! I love kids. I love kids and teens. Because again, if you can plant the seed that if anything ever happens, you ever have worries in the future, they'll come back to it.
Yeah, and it's also you're teaching people how to do this for themselves.
That's it.
Not to come in today for the lesson on, but just the fact that they know that if they can relax, this pain will go away. If there's so many things that it has a knock-on effect.
Yeah. I understand what you've just said, that sentence, but even that sentence is a hypnotic sentence itself. A lot of people say, oh, I'd love to come to you to get rid of this anxiety, but I can't relax. Yeah. What I always say is, you don't need to relax to be hypnotized. You may feel relaxed once you're hypnotized.
Yeah,
most people do, but you don't need relaxation to go into hypnosis. And I says, the proof of that is look at my YouTube channel. I'm hypnotizing people standing up in the middle of the street, buses going up and down, people walking past.
And they don't fall over.
They don't, that's it.
They don't fall over because the feet are glued to the floor. That's why.
Oh, that's true.
No glue. That's it.
Turan, it was really nice meeting you again. It's been
Indeed,
ages.
Lovely to see you again. Lovely to see both of you. Indeed.
Yeah, and I'm still working in hypnosis.
Perfect. Keep up the good work. That's what I say.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been lovely. I talk to you a lot, as you know, but it's nice to see you in a different setting, really, isn't it? So,
Indeed.
yeah, but thank you.